Hello, fellow silver stackers and metalheads. This is Full Bore Silver checking in from the Full Bore Saloon. Huge congratulations on this most historic of days. $60 silver per ounce has been breached, $61 on silver futures. Major resistance levels that were only dreamt of for years have been broken through with volume. This could be the beginning of the squeeze. Amidst this, you have JPM moving their bullion desk from New York to Singapore to address those Shanghai markets, and all of these developing countries gobbling up physical silver. India, China, South Korea, Russia, etc. And what they are doing, there's so many confluent indicators. They're moving their physical reserves that they use in these futures contracts from deliverable to undeliverable. They're trying to use U.S. monopoly money to buy out the futures contracts at lower prices per ounce. Now there is a record 52 million ounces of silver that APs, the authorized participants in these futures markets, standing for delivery. This is not a situation that JPM can survive. The scam is up. It's been going on for 50 years. The jig is up. Now, we have a rate cut decision coming out tomorrow, 1:30 Central Time. There's probably a 90% chance that we get a 25 BIP, that's a quarter basis point interest rate cut. Now, the Fed is cutting interest rates because of big pressure from the executive. We had the most rapid interest rate rise during the Biden administration, pushed a lot of people out of home ownership, slowed business growth, slowed borrowing, kind of brought the economy into sort of a stagflation sort of situation. But we do have that record inflation, and so the continued quantitative easing and money printing is not going to help that at all. And it also gives international investors less confidence in investing in the U.S. You have the JPM, the Japan carry trade, where they've been jacking interest rates, where for years and years you could borrow money basically for free in Japan and then come invest it in U.S. treasuries. Well, Japan has jacked their interest rates while the U.S. is lowering theirs. So they're not going to borrow at this rate to invest at this rate. So you have this massive flight from U.S. treasuries. Now you have the EU under these insane socialist women like Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas, and don't get me started on these people, but they are threatening to divest of U.S. securities if we don't continue this huge Ukraine scam. Kaja Kallas, PM of Estonia, coincidentally, a lot of this money that gets laundered through this Ukraine thing ends up in banks in Estonia. So you can see kind of the vested interest that she has. So we also, May 15th of next year, have a new Federal Reserve chairman coming in. Powell's out, Hassett is in. Now, Hassett is a huge dove, and he, at the behest of Trump, I mean, he's a pawn of the executive. We're going to see interest rates continue to go down. Now, this gives, of course, this is going to weaken the dollar, less investment in U.S. treasuries. It will probably increase manufacturing because borrow rates will be less. All of these factors are fantastic for silver. The manufacturing, sorry, my chickens are squawking. All of these factors are fantastic for a silver rise. Manufacturing, more silver usage, divestment from U.S. treasuries, and weak dollar erodes confidence in the Fed system, and so then you have a flight to safe assets like metals. On top of that, you have the BRICS, unprecedented accumulation of physical metals. You have Poland just stacking tons and tons of gold. Not necessarily a BRICS nation, but then you have the BRICS nations. They've developed the unit, which is a currency tied to gold. You have the Belt and Road project that China is basically linking these transportation networks all throughout the world Then they're putting bullion vaults where you can have an immediate exchange of currency with these trade routes that China is setting up. So the US is now the red-headed stepchild. They don't need SWIFT. Now they have Enbridge. They don't need the US petrodollar. We have lost or are in the process of losing our status as world reserve currency. The dollar's weakening, petrodollar's out. The BRICS nations can now use their gold-backed unit in the Enbridge system to trade billions of barrels of oil, gold, silver, any sort of resource without any knowledge of the Fed or the US system. All signs point to the US dollar being cut out, which, I mean, again, it's bullish for precious metals. The other thing is the BRICS nations are halting now largely exports of precious metals. Russia and China are halting silver exports, gold exports. There is a massive hoarding going on of these as confidence in the Western fiat money system has eroded and continues to erode. Now, you know, I'm wearing my Rhodesia shirt today. I've done a lot of reading on the Rhodesian Bush War, the Celia Scouts, you know, the badasses that had the really short shorts, and they fought off the communists trying to keep their country afloat. Ian Smith, the brave prime minister, basically the UK, who was sort of their parent country, and the US completely turned their backs on Rhodesia, which had kind of developed into a first world country, and basically let a perimeter of communist rebels come into the country, kill farmers, take their land, and then, you know, it basically turned into a socialist communist country under Mugabe. What did they do? They printed money. They had no backing for the money, and they turned on the money printer and made it go burr. And what happened? They completely debased their currency, kind of like the U.S. is doing right now. There are famous photos of Zimbabweans protesting in Harare, and they would have wheelbarrows full of Zimbabwean dollars and a sign saying, "I'm a billionaire." Yeah, you got a wheelbarrow full of useless monopoly money. And that's kind of where we're headed. So, not financial advice, but physical silver, physical gold. Congratulations again. What an awesome historic day. And thank you all for having confidence in these physical precious metals. It's our way to have some autonomy to protect the finances of friends and loved ones, and also not buy in and be psychologically manipulated by this Western fiat money system and the Fed. You know, they hold this over our heads. Oh, you're going to be broke. You know, they use usury to lend money at high rates. And in the back of your head is always, you know, the currency's being debased. I can't buy groceries this week. It's a psychological control method. But you can divest of that by buying physical metals. So let's see what happens this week. It's already been incredibly exciting, and have a fantastic week. Thanks.